Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Security Repo Podcast. Always glad to have you listening to us. And thank you for sharing our message out there, for liking, subscribing, all that. We'll get right to it this week. Have an awesome guest, Martín Villalba. He is an application and product security consultant, been working in the industry for over 15 years. He founded C13 Security, specializing in securing the software development lifecycle, pen testing, vulnerability management, and all other areas of security. Active member of the InfoSec community, including organizations like BSides and OWASP. And he's here today really to talk about building InfoSecMap, which I'm very happy to talk about. It's an open access platform for discovering InfoSec events, communities from all around the world. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
Well, we met back at BSides Las Vegas. How was Hacker Summer Camp week for you? Did you do the other events?
I did. I did besides Las Vegas. Actually, before that, I did the Diana Initiative. I always we have a partnership with them, so I hang out there with them, help out a little bit, and continue to promote InfoSecMap. And then after besides Las Vegas, I did DEF CON. So the entire week, Sunday to Monday.
It's a long week. It's an exhausting week, but it's a good week.
Yeah,
Getting to
yeah,
really
yeah,
hang out with
exactly.
peers. Yeah.
A lot going on. I particularly enjoy BSA Las Vegas, where we met. Uh, Somehow, I always end up with great connections from there. You included this time around, and here we are. DEF CON was great as well. I got to experience it from the other end for the first time. I partnered with the OWASP Foundation to share their space and do some activities. I presented about InfoSecMap. I also partnered with La Villa Hacker, which is the one and only, I believe, village at DEF CON in Spanish. So I partnered with them as well. They supported me. They support a lot the project, and I also presented there about InfoSecMap. So it was pretty nice overall. Just hanging out with the people, helping out, volunteering, which I always do a little bit, and also, of course, further promote InfoSecMap.
Well, we've name dropped InfoSec Map a number of times here, so let's just dig into it. What is InfoSec Map, and how did you go about creating it?
Yeah. So InfoSec Map, in a nutshell, is a platform, a global directory of InfoSec events, groups, and communities. We track all kinds of events from big conferences to CTF and small local meetups, including even social events we're tracking these days, which there seem to be quite a bit more. As long as it is InfoSec related, we will have it there. Um, as I mentioned, we also track the groups organizing these events, and we track the communities overall. Sometimes what we call the global communities, such as B-Sides not Las Vegas, but the B-Sides community overall, and the OS Foundation, um, where, excuse me, we're currently adding thousands of events or listings in general each year. We added about 3,500 listings last year, most of those being events, because obviously the groups start to repeat at some point. There are not new groups coming up all the time, but there are a lot of new events with the same groups.
That's an
Uh,
impressive number. 3,500 events.
we're expecting to cross over 5,000 this year by the end of the year. We're pretty close to that mark already. And again, um, most of these listings being events. So that's pretty good. And we have we know we have pretty decent coverage in the Americas in general, all the way from Canada and the US, going through Central America, South America, all the way down to Argentina. We also have pretty good coverage in Western Europe. And then we have some other coverage in many other regions of the world. But we know it's there's still a lot more to gather, to be aware of, and put on the map.
Oh, man, this is an awesome project. But I would love to just rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you get started with this? Like, what was the inspiration? Like, when was the moment you said this map needs to exist?
So a couple things to answer that. The idea I had in my head for many years. I want to say like a good 7, 8, 9 years maybe. Um, it it started as a tool that I needed myself. I started attending a lot of events. I started helping to organize events, and I kept wondering, how come we don't have this tool? How come I need to spend so much time trying to find these events? And then um, even after spending that much time, still miss some of the events, because it's not just up to you to find the events, right? It depends on the organizers' efforts as well in terms of promotion. Like you may come, I still come across some really good events that are only published like in a LinkedIn post, and that's it, or some chat application like Telegram. There's a channel that may announce a good event there, and it's just impossible to keep up with everything, right? So I basically got tired of spending too much time looking for events and still miss some of the events.
Wow, how I first heard about the InfoSec map was an announcement over on OWASP, and I'm a proud OWASP member. You are too, I assume.
I am.
How did that happen? How did that partnership with OWASP occur?
So it pretty much came naturally to me to further support the foundation. I actually, let me take a step back. So being a was a member and volunteer for many years. I think I'm close to 10 years volunteering for OWASP now. So started volunteering, obviously started attending some of the conferences just as a regular attendee. And then I started volunteering for UPSEC California in 2000, maybe 15, 16, maybe 17 as well. Um, it was around 2018 that I took over the local chapter in Santa Barbara, Southern California, near LA. And that's when I became a lot more involved. As part of taking over the chapter in Santa Barbara, I had the chance to start participating as an organizer of UPSEC California. So I did that, and actually became one of the key organizers in the last two editions, which are the ones where I participated. So basically, in a span of maybe 4 or 5, 6 years, I went from a regular attendee to volunteering to taking over the chapter to becoming one of the key organizers for UPSEC California. I really became um, um, deeply involved with the foundation. So when I created this project, and the basics were out of the way, it was online and rolling, a couple of things well oiled, others not so much. It came naturally to me to talk to the foundation and see how I could further support them, right, and support us, really, all of us volunteers and members of the foundation. um, I was lucky enough that a new OWASP staff member came on board. I think it was around April of 2024. Her name is Star Brown, and she's awesome. Shout out to her. Her and I started talking very soon after she came on board, and I told her about the project. Actually, she had heard about the project, and that's one of the main reasons why we started talking. And once again, it came naturally to both of us. Like, we got to do a partnership and do a lot of cross promotion and cross support, which we're doing these days, right? Listed as one of the supporters of the OWAS Foundation, not only personally but through the project. And we also created a special, what we call our custom pages on InfoSecMap, which is basically a mini website about OWASP within InfoSecMap. Of course, they have their own website, but Star and I recognized how we could do a little extra work to highlight where the chapters are located, where the events are happening. So that's what we did. If you go into that mini website within InfoSecMap, which is located at infosecmap.com/OWASP, the juice of that section is in the chapters and events subsections, if you will.
So this has got to be making an impact out there. I know for me personally, it's changed how I look for events, quite honestly. So I'm using this personally. What do you think the impact has been so far? Like, any feedback or any particular growth you can talk about?
Yeah, feedback overall has been great. We More and more people are reaching out these days just to add other events or to provide feedback for features they like to see, things like that. The growth has been an interesting part of the project because when we put this online in October of 2022, and we're about to turn 3 years, at the end of the month, uh, I thought this project was going to be all over the place in about 6 months. I saw such a huge need for this kind of tool, and we were going to do it, free and open access for everyone, which of course we did. So I thought, why would anyone in InfoSec not use it? Word of mouth is going to be so quick. This is really going to be exploding in 6 months, and that did not happen. It actually took a lot longer. So I remember talking to my good friend Jonathan Marcial, also an active member of the OWASP Foundation. Shout out to him. Um, Presenting the project to him when we put it online, and he told me it was going to take about 2 years for this to be the de facto tool that everyone was using. And I remember thinking, I don't have, I don't have 2 years. Like I had been spending like another full year working on it, already when we launched it. I'm a little too anxious to wait 2 years for this to be successful, and it actually took a little longer than 2 years for this to be, well recognized and used. So from that, I'll jump straight to the first few months, even year and a half, we saw some movement. The growth has been constant overall, but it was very slow for more than 2 years. It was between 2 and 2.5 years when we started seeing a little more growth. And it was just 2 months ago when we passed the 10,000 unique visits per month, which was something that we had been really close to passing for many months, and for whatever reason we weren't. We finally did. We crossed 10,000 unique visits early August, and of course we celebrated. We're really happy about. What we didn't know is that we were about to have that big jump that I always envisioned. So in the last 2 months, we had a growth of 120%, going from 10,000 unique visits a month to almost 23,000 unique visits a month. So we're finally seeing that really big jump. We're really excited about it. We're cooking some new features. And yeah, and great feedback from the community. There are a lot of people that actually take the time to come talk to me when I'm around at conferences, or even send an email, send a message through our contact form, and just say, hey, this is an awesome project, thanks for doing this. And once in a while people also offer some help too, so it's nice. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the community.
Hmm.
They're gonna help out if they can. But yeah, taking longer than you think it could, that's the Hofstadter law, Douglas Hofstadter's law. Everything in computer science takes longer than you think it could possibly take, even if you take into account Hofstadter's law. So you're right there on track, man. But this is really awesome stuff. So so what are the next big plans? What do you have envisioned for?
So soon enough, we'll have something. I think it'll be of particular interest for you. We're gonna start tracking all InfoSec podcasts. So of course, we have yours in mind, and it'll be listed. It came, yeah, pretty natural to us that podcasts is something that we should have on the site. It's very related to the community and all these groups. Um, Many of the groups actually that organize events, they also have their own podcast. So part of the information is there already. But we're going to have a new section for podcasts with its own kind of filtering, which is something that I didn't get to mention earlier, but I would like to add a couple things about InfoSecMap in general. Uh, we have a pretty advanced filtering, and that's one of the uh, I would say one of the highlights of the platform, which I hadn't personally seen anywhere else. We're tracking so many events that if we didn't have really good filtering, it just wouldn't be as useful. It's just too much information. To give you an idea, our team is 7 people now. Like, half of us work almost full time on it. Half of us, the other half works part time. And most of the time for most people goes into massaging this vast amount of information and loading, reviewing these events, keeping them up to date. That's something that we also do um, on a daily basis, keeping the information updated. Otherwise, if it becomes pretty stale, then once again um, the usefulness is lost somehow. So we keep everything pretty up to date. We list all kinds of events, as I mentioned earlier. Pretty advanced filtering. You can filter by dates, regions, like very specific locations. You could say, show me what's around the center of LA and 50 miles around. Show me what groups are here, what events are coming up around here. You also mentioned as a speaker, the um, how useful it is to find a place where they're tracking call for papers, and you probably seen that we have that as well. Um, a couple other resources out there that track call for papers we've seen like these days have died down quite a bit. They may have like 10 or 15 CFPs that they're tracking. Right now, I think we have more than 120 worldwide. So we're doing a pretty thorough job there. Um, and we're tracking call for trainers, sponsors, and volunteers as well for each of the conferences that we have listed. So that's especially that part, keeping it up to date, which we do. It takes a good chunk of our time, doing these rechecks of each listing. So there's some automation there. There's also a lot of manual work. Um, so,
And got to have a human in the loop for this stuff. I know that firsthand
mhm.
from my experiences building stuff in the past. So it sounds like you could use a few more hands and some more community involvement. So how could people get involved?
The first thing I would like to most people to do is just use the site. There's a lot of work behind it, and I can say these days that there's enough people using it, but of course there's a lot more people that could be using it. As I mentioned earlier, we did a lot of promotion at DEF CON, and for the first time, a lot of the people that I came across just throwing some flyers around, or I had a little some kind of a booth in a corner in that space with OWASP and then La Villa Hacker, and a lot of the people knew about the project, but there's still a lot of people that didn't know. So people, I would love for more people to use the site and help us promote it. Share it with your friends and colleagues. Just help spread the word around. And of course, send us any feedback you may have, any events we may be missing, little bugs here and there that we may have, and of course, feature requests, ideas, things you would like to see on the site.
And thank you so much for the work, and thanks to the team for making this happen. I know I've been using it ever since we met, so
Nice.
I've been pushing this out there for everybody that's asking me, like, "How are you finding events these days?" It's naturally one of the first places I push them. Uh, we're going to move on to our final part of the show, which is to get to know you a little bit better. We ask the same 4 questions of all of our guests. So we'll just jump right into that. So first one up, what's your favorite all-time security command line tool?
So GoBuster is directory on. It started as a directory on files about brute forcing tool. Since then, in the last couple of years, it actually they actually added quite a bit of functionality to it, where you can leverage the extremely high performance of GoBuster written in Go, and do other things like I think you can check for uh, AWS and cloud in general infrastructure, finding S3 buckets, and subdomain enumeration is another big one. I have not used it, these last couple functionalities I mentioned as much, just because it's not in my line of work as much, but definitely still use it a lot for directory and file brute forcing. Once again, because it's extremely performant. And I found it at a time where I wasn't satisfied with this other tool. I think it's called Deerbuster. It's written in Java, nice GUI, but really slow. So I was having a lot of issues with slowness with Deerbuster, and came across GoBuster, um, and have adopted it and kept it since then.
Right on, man. And you have started your own company for yourself, and you've got this whole project going. So you interview people, obviously. Do you have a go-to favorite interview question when you're talking to someone?
I don't think I have one single question that I always ask, but there are a couple things that I always look for and keep very special attention to. One is how long they've stayed at their previous jobs. I don't like seeing resumes of people that stayed 6, 8, 10 months at their previous jobs, and they're just jumping around. They may have their own reasons. It's not how I did my career. I actually did quite the opposite. Stayed for a very, very long time with the same employer. Had a ton of benefits there for staying so long. But it's also something that I wouldn't recommend. Staying forever with the same employer. But just jumping around jobs is something that more and more people are doing these days, especially younger people, and it just shows a lack of commitment, in my view, to um, seeing a project through. Like if you stay 6 months at each job, like you can't even see your own project through. So if there's no, it seems like there's no much of a purpose there for those profiles. So that's one thing that I definitely look in detail. The other one is, speaking about details, is attention to detail. I really like to see some good attention to detail, or at least the effort to try to develop it. If I don't see good attention to detail, it's just kind of hard to operate in general as a manager, if like many things will fall through the cracks because there's not enough attention to detail, going over a process and making sure it's done the right way. And of course, there's always a learning curve, especially with someone new you will have at your company. That's almost like needless to say. um, but yeah, I would say those two: time at jobs and level of attention to detail.
What's the best piece of security advice you could give our audience?
Focus on changing the culture. Make sure you start with a good security culture. People need to understand why it's important. Like it cannot be forced or just thrown out there. Uh, Focus on the culture. Make sure you build a nice security culture, and then the rest will come.
And what is the absolute worst advice you ever heard out there?
Chasing their own tails in terms of fixing vulnerabilities versus spending a little bit of time focusing on the root cause, plus a bug bounty program. So they keep paying. They keep paying for the same things. More money, more overhead handling these things, and and sometimes they don't get to spend a little time on fixing the root cause. And once in a while, it's actually really easy. Um, so yeah, it's I guess that's part of our jobs, right? How do we get that message across and convince them it's really worth a little time to fix the root cause? Okay.
Thanks so much for being here. We always like to give our guests the last say in the show. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Anything else you'd like to tell us as we get out of here?
InfoSecMap.com, check it out, use it, share it with your friends. I think anyone in InfoSec will find it really, really useful. And yeah, share it with everyone, with your mom as well, if she's into InfoSec.
And do the same for this podcast. Please share this, like, subscribe, all that. But thank you so much for being here, Martin. Really appreciate you. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.
Thank you too. Thanks again for having me. And until next time.